Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee is a spin-off / quasi-remake kind of thing of Pokemon Yellow. It has quite a few differences from sort of the core Pokemon series, but Kevin, you and I got a chance to play it, and we have some thoughts.
We did, Tony. We got to try out the new co-op feature. You joined me with a regular Joy-Con, but I used the new Pokeball Plus.
So for those who aren't familiar with the Pokeball Plus, why don't you describe what it actually is?
The Pokeball Plus is essentially this little accessory. It functions like a Joy-Con, but it's shaped like a Pokeball. So there has a thumbstick in the middle that you use to control your character around. You press the thumbstick in, that acts like the A button, and there's another button on the top. So theoretically, you could play the whole game just using the Pokeball Plus in one hand. And I really love the look of the thing. It's very charming. It looks like a Pokeball, and, by the same token, I think it isn't exactly the ideal way to play the game. Thumbstick is very small, so it doesn't feel like it has nearly as much range of movement as a regular Joy-Con control stick does.
Well, the whole Pokeball overall is pretty small, right?
Yeah, it's very small. It's probably a little bit bigger than a golf ball.
Okay.
It definitely doesn't feel like it has as much range of movement, so while I was playing it felt like I was struggling to move my character around a little bit. It also doesn't have nearly as many buttons on it as a regular Joy-Con does, so some of the actions you would use are mapped to motion control, which isn't exactly ideal.
Okay, so kind of mixed feelings overall on the Pokeball Plus, like you said. But I just use a standard Joy-Con because we played co-op. Is this the first time a Pokemon game is featured co-op?
Yeah.
Okay. Pokemon games have definitely had double battles and online double battles and things like that in the past, but this is a true two-player co-op mode. Although maybe saying true is a little too strong of a word because the second player really doesn't do much.
Yeah, it's more of a support role.
I followed you around on the map. I could not interact with anything. I couldn't pick up items. I couldn't. If I walked by a trainer, they wouldn't notice me. But if you walked by, then the trainer went, "Hey, let's have a battle." I could bump into Pokemon in the wild, but that wouldn't trigger any sort of battle. And the camera didn't even follow me.
Yes.
I could just walk off at any time and literally just have no idea where I was.
You didn't have your own Pokemon either.
No, the second player just uses the second Pokemon in the party. So it is very limited in what you can do with two players. However, it seems like the ideal situation for a parent and a child to play the game together. And I know they've pitched this game sort of as a My First Pokemon kind of thing. And I think for a kid, first time playing a Pokemon game, this co-op mode does exactly what you'd want it to do, right? Like the parent can follow along, but not sort of railroad whatever the kid, wants to do. Like the kid has the freedom to walk around and to interact and to initiate the battles. And the parent's just kind of there, like you said, as a support role.
Even though it doesn't functionally add much to the gameplay, I still thought it was a charming feature to add into the game. It definitely does make the game easier.
Yeah, that's the thing. It becomes a 2-on-1 battle. So unless it is a true 2-on-2 battle, which does happen. In our demo, we did fight Team Rocket, and we did have a traditional 2-on-2 battle. But otherwise, yeah, standard battles, you're kind of just dominating. But again, for a kid playing sort of My First Pokemon, that is good for them, right? Like you wouldn't want a kid to have too difficult of a time playing it.
So how do you feel about some of the other changes, like the fact there are no wild Pokemon battles in Let's Go?
Sure, that is a pretty big change that you see the Pokemon actually moving around there on the field. I think you can kind of take or leave random encounters when it comes to a lot of RPGs. If you're out there to grind, great. If you're trying to catch a specific Pokemon, it can be a giant pain.
Yeah.
So the fact that you can literally walk around and see, oh, there's an Onix over there, that's what I'm looking for, and just go and get that Pokemon as opposed to, rolling the dice to see if the one you want shows up, I think that is a great addition. And again, for the kid playing a first Pokemon game, if they are weak and they need to get to a Pokemon Center and heal up, they can just avoid battles easily and just go right there.
The Rock Tunnel was grueling in the original games.
And actually, speaking of the Pokemon Center, I think another very big change, especially for more of the hardcore players, Pokemon Centers are still there. You can still go and heal up. But you don't have to go to a Pokemon Center and use the PC to switch out your party. you actually keep all your Pokemon in like a Pokemon bag.
Yeah.
And so you can change out your six-person party at any time.
It's very convenient, I think, especially for this game, since it places a much bigger emphasis on capturing Pokemon.
Yeah.
But I still found myself reflexively thinking every time I encountered a wild Pokemon, like, oh, when we ran into Geodude, I thought, oh, Bulbasaur would be perfect for this, and then it was.
But then it doesn't matter because you're just catching it.
Yeah. So I don't know how I feel about that yet.
I understand for big Pokemon fans how they could feel like they're kind of missing out on part of the game when there is no wild battling like that. But at the same time, you do still get experience when you catch the Pokemon. And getting experience like that is, I think, just another one of those quality of life changes that they've made to the game. Because when you get that experience, it applies to all the Pokemon in your party. Assuming you have the XP share turned on, which I think it's on by default in this one, and you can choose to turn it off later. As you said, there's going to be some reflexive stuff for Pokemon fans, but by and large, it's a Pokemon game.
Yeah.
It's a Pokemon game with a different encounter system, but at the end of the day, it's still all about beating gyms and catching them all, and for the first time, you can do that with another person, which is pretty great, not just for sharing the experience, but for maybe helping somebody else through it for the first time.
A lot of the changes that I see in Pokemon Let's Go, I hope don't apply to the core game, as they refer to, that's coming out in 2019. But for what it is, I still really enjoyed my time with it.
Yeah,
it still very much feels like a Pokemon game, even with all the new Pokemon Go inspired mechanics that they introduced in it.
Well, I guess everybody can just find out for themselves when it comes to Switch on November 16th. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, depending on whichever starter you want. Those will be out then.